Hello everyone, Cornelius Simon here with No Limits Consulting and Coaching. You ever had one of those moments where you've been working all week long for, a presentation, something that you have to present in the meeting, and when you get in the meeting, you pull it off, man, I did a great job. And then after the meeting, you get somebody, hey, let me talk to you for a minute. And you know what's coming. They're about to give you some feedback. Well, today I want to talk to you about 4 tips for handling criticism and how to use it constructively. Well, it happens all the time, whether it's in personal life or in business, in your professional career. Folks are going to criticize you, but you know what? We don't have to look at criticism as one of those things that can bring us down or that should bring us down or hold us back from advancing in our career and from actually doing better at what we are as a professional. And so today I want to talk to you about 4 tips for handling criticism and how to use it constructively. I have this I remember reading this cartoon that talks about this. Hey, look, Mom, I drew you a picture, and it goes on to draw this picture about the mother here. Maybe I'll post it in the video. And it's a very funny picture, and it talks about how not to take things the wrong way. So let's look at this. What is criticism? Criticism is the expression, I like this. Criticism is the expression of disapproval of someone or something based on perceived faults or mistakes. So when someone gives you criticism, you have to first look at, okay, well, you know what? It is their perception of what they think how something should be. And that's not always the case. It's not always their way right, but it's something you have to understand. So when we look at the word criticism, we want to think about this in this way. It's an expression of someone else's disapproval of what they perceive or how they perceive something should be. So when it comes down to handling criticism, we need to understand that there are different types of criticism. You have constructive criticism, of course we all know about that, and there's destructive criticism. And destructive criticism are those coming from a standpoint of, they want to use just thoughtless words just to bring us down or bring yourself down. And so that type of criticism we're not going to talk about today. We're going to talk more of the constructive criticism or criticism and how to use it constructively. Now, people deal with criticism in different ways, and through my research I discovered there are 4 types of ways or 4 different ways folks can handle criticism. Let's see which one of you are. There's the internalizer, the self-convincer, the defender, and the feedback sender. Now, the internalizer, this is the type of person, if you're in this people group, you internalize every bit of criticism or feedback that's given to you, such that you internalize this so deeply that you begin to become more harder on yourself, or you allow yourself to think that you're not valuable or you're not worthy, or that you can't learn or certain things or don't have an aptitude for something. And so the internalizer really internalizes the feedback or the criticism that's being given, and when that happens, the person begins to shut down. The second way people handle criticism is, the second group of people is the self-convincer. The self-convincer takes negative feedback very personally. Instead of accepting blame or whatnot, they want to deflect the blame on others. They want to say, well, because you didn't give me enough information. Let's take a presentation. Let's say you didn't give me enough time to do this presentation. The self-convincer will have already convinced themselves that it's not my fault. So the criticism you give me, don't put it on me, so put it on someone else. And so this is what you find happening with this type of person who handles criticism by being a self-convincer. This third group is the defender. Now, the defender is kind of in between this internalizer and the self-convincer, in that a defender is not given to arguing. They won't argue about the feedback. They won't argue about the criticism. They'll just take it and process it in their own way. And so a defender is, he or she won't suffer any loss or sleep over the criticism, and thinks the critic is misguided or feel that it's fine to leave it the way it is. So if you're one of those persons that is a defender when criticism is given, I want to give you some tips to help you use, again, criticism in a more constructive manner. And this 4th way, or this 4th style of criticism, is the feedback sender. Now, I like the feedback sender. We all should be more of the feedback sender. And the feedback sender simply says that they may get offended, but they're more looking for opportunities to grow than it is just to be offended or to internalize what's going on. So the feedback center, this style of handling criticism, allows you to again accept the feedback and learn from it. So the feedback center tends to actively ask questions about the critique. Seizes the opportunity to grow and become better at what they're doing. So let's look at these four tips for handling criticism. The first tip, number one, again, check this out. You're in an office, you just finished a meeting and you spent all this time working on this meeting here, this presentation, you get through it and now somebody comes over. The first thing, they don't say great job. They don't say, good job, Michelle, good job, Mike. They come in and criticize your presentation. First thing you want to do is immediately don't jump on the defense. So that's tip number one. Don't jump on the defense. You see, if you jump on the defense, then you're what we call that defender. You're defending your position instead of trying to learn from the critique that's being given. So don't jump to the defense. When you jump on the defense, you miss out on the opportunity to hear what the other person is saying. Also, you miss out on the opportunity to seize the growth opportunity that can come from the critique. Tip number two, don't respond in anger. Generally I've seen this happen before. I've been in meetings, I've been there myself, where someone give me a critique about something that I've just done, and I immediately respond in anger, like, well, hey, I don't have enough time to do this. Immediately you respond in anger, and that's not going to help you use criticism or your critique that's being given to you wisely. Tip number three, consider the source. Very, very, very important. I like this tip here because it matches the definition that I gave for criticism. Let me go back to the definition again. It says criticism is the expression of disapproval of something or someone based on perceived faults or mistakes. So when you look at the source, tip number three, when you consider the source, you're looking at the individual who is giving you the critique. Are they really looking to build you up, or are they looking to tear you down? Do they understand what it is that you're doing, or are they just giving their opinion, their feedback about what they perceive how something should have been done? So when you look at that from a professional standpoint and you're in a corporate workplace environment, considering the source will allow you to better receive the criticism or the critique, such that you don't respond in anger, and such that you allow the critique to actually benefit you and use it constructively. And finally, the fourth tip for handling criticism is use criticism as a learning experience. Now, this is what I feel the most important thing that you and I, as professionals, individuals, human beings, should always look at when it comes down to criticism. Again, once you consider the source, once you have not responded in anger, and once you allow yourself to don't jump on the defense, you want to look at this criticism or this critique. How can I use this as a learning experience? Now, you remember what I said earlier about the four different ways people handle criticism. That fourth way was the sender, where they want to know. Let me go back to this again. So that fourth way was the feedback sender. Now, the feedback sender, this person is more interested in, okay, how can I grow from this experience? So tip number 4, again, is use critique as a learning experience. Some of my best experience that I can remember in my professional life came out of my manager critiquing me on something that I did incorrectly. And yes, it was his ideal, it was his perceived thoughts on how something should be. But in certain situations, you want to give, again, consider the source. You want to give that your manager, someone who's been doing it a lot longer than you, credence to what he's saying. And so through my career, I've learned to act as the feedback sender. Not always, but I learned to act as the feedback sender such that I can grow from the critique that was given to me. Now, when you can take these 4 tips and you can begin to use, especially tip number 4, begin to use criticism or critique given you as a learning experience, that's when you're able to take criticism and use it constructively. Let me know how you deal with criticism. Let's share the knowledge. Let's share our experience with everyone so we all can grow together.